All right. Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining me today. I am talking to Laura Spinney, and I always want to say Laura Spinney Creative because that is her handle. So, Laura, I met through my friend Charlene, and she was on the 2019 Australian F.A.M.E Team. And I thought that that would be just a really great um, experience to talk through and to shed some light on for people to understand the process. Maybe, it's something you've seen, but oh, how would I even begin or anything like that. So Laura walks us through step 1 to step 2 and how many times she actually auditioned, and there's just so much to it, but also her story before. She actually worked in Dubai, and that was a whole experience in itself, and kind of her opinion on that and working for a company over there, and that was really cool and not actually what I expected to get out of the conversation. But we talk so much about F.A.M.E Team and the travel and the people that you meet and all of these things, and the experience that she got and how it's really changed her life behind the chair now and what she's doing a year later, and how it has just completely altered her, what she's doing, her confidence, and all of the things that maybe happen behind the scenes that you don't know, the work that happens on working on yourself and all of that. So I really enjoyed this conversation with Laura. As per usual, I've had a technical difficulty and my hard drive ejected while we were doing it. So there will be, through halfway, as per usual, a little merge of the files, but what can you do when you're me? So I've done my best, and it is so interesting. So anybody who's thinking about F.A.M.E Team or how to kind of go to that next level, this is the episode for you. Put us into Laura Spinney.
Yeah.
Okay, today my guest is Laura Spinney, and I just thought that you would be one, so interesting to have on. You are so authentically yourself, I feel, on social media, and I think the way that you've been kind of evolving your platform has been really interesting to watch as a viewer, and seeing, the changes that you've had throughout the year, and since a really big thing happened for you, which was F.A.M.E Team. Is that correct?
Yeah. F.A.M.E Team was probably one of the best things that's ever happened to me. And I know that that sounds so corny, but it was like a switch flicked in me. It just gave me confidence like overnight. And I was like, things that I thought that I could maybe one day do, I started feeling like, oh no, I can do them and I will do them. So it's been so overwhelming. I can't believe it was a year ago now. Like we were in Germany or London a year ago today.
And aren't
So
you so
it's
lucky it
insane.
was last year?
Yeah, I
So
know. And I
crazy.
feel awful for the ones this year because
Oh,
I mean, every time I, open Facebook or I open whatever, it's like every year it's been pushed back and pushed back. So
yeah.
as in the travel.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I
Well,
am
I think
lucky.
what
And
I'd
we
love
kind of
to do
tell
with
people.
you is roll just to the beginning, get a little snippet of how you got into hairdressing and all of those things. And then I want to dive into, you talking to us about F.A.M E Team and how that's helped you, and the experience of going to the international hair shows, like all of these things that you wouldn't have maybe known being here. So did you always want to be a hairdresser, or how did that happen for you?
No, that's so funny. No, I didn't. My mum was a hairdresser, and I always said, I don't
Ah.
want to be a hairdresser. I know. I was like, I'm not doing this. I'm going to be a vet. I want to be a vet. And then I was like, I'm really shit at school. And I was just there for the sake of it, because there was not really much else to do. But also, I was quite young for my year as well. So
Okay.
leaving school in year 10, which was what was allowed when I was younger, was I was 15. So I
Wow.
think back to 15-year-olds that like there's no
Yeah.
way they're ready to go out into the world. So I stayed till year 12, and then I thought, okay, my mum gave me 1 week. She's like, you've got 1 week of relaxing, and then you have to get a job. And I was like, okay. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to get a job in a hair salon just because it's what I know. Um, because I always worked with my mom, and actually my godmother is a hairdresser as well. And I was like, I'm going to get a job in a hair salon, and that will just see me through. You know, it's like, what's it called when you just like running on like habit type thing. Like I knew
Yeah. It
what I
was
was doing.
comfortable. It
I
was
didn't have,
easy. You didn't kind of have to get out of your comfort zone.
yeah, I didn't have to think. I forgot to put on my lip smacker. One
That's
sec.
okay. So, yeah.
So I did that, and I remember I was reading a magazine. I think it could have been. Sorry, can I swear?
You can do
Gonna
whatever
happen
you
a bit.
want.
Okay.
I've just put Carolyn Gahad's episode out, and she loves a swearing situation. But when I had to
Yeah,
edit the episode because we had a thunderstorm and it cut the whole video
yeah.
everywhere. I lost the video and it anyway. So I started
A
editing.
storm here
Pardon?
or a storm there? A
Here
storm
in
here?
Melbourne, and my Wi-Fi cut
Oh,
out, and it was like my first week of recording, so I didn't even know like how to fix anything. And then once I
yeah.
started editing, then I started editing out the F-bombs because I was like, I'm gonna have to make sure that this is like, people are aware this is a PG-13 episode. So it was funny, but you can do whatever you want.
Okay, great. So I was reading a magazine, I think it was like Cosmo, or one of those really damaging, useful magazines.
Yes.
And don't get me started. So then, and there was like an article of this lady, I won't mention her, but she worked for Tony and Guy, and she had gone from like an apprentice to London to managing like, this huge salon. And I was like, Mum, what's Tony and Guy? And she was like, oh, they're like one of the biggest like hair chains in the world. And I was like, random. So I popped on like the dial-up internet and was like looking for where the closest Tony and Guy was. And I lived like really far southwest. So the closest one to me was Parramatta, which was an hour and 40 minutes.
Oh my God.
So I was like, okay, well, I'm just going to apply and we'll see what happens. Anyway, I went and did an interview. Then I did a trial, but never heard back from them. And I was like, oh, okay. Anyway, in the meantime, I trialed at one really close to my house, and I turned up, and it was a lady, your quintessential hairdresser, right?
Yeah.
She had like pink and blonde and black streaks. She was out the front, just like chuffing darts down. She had like the biggest salon, but in, the 2 hours I was there was like one blow dry come through, and she sent me to go get a coffee for her. And I was like, this is kind of shit. And I think the name of the salon was like Razzle Dazzle or something like that. Anyway,
I do. We're like, tell me your funniest salon name, because everybody's starting salon is this funny like clips.
Yeah. Yeah, like, oh God. Anyway, so she was like, look, you can go. And I was like, great, thanks. Like, I just want to get out of here. And she was like, I just don't think that you're what, like, I'm looking for. And I was like, no shit, babe. Like, no, with all due respect, you're not what I'm looking for. Yeah, and I didn't know what it was that I was looking for, but I always said to my mom, if I'm going to be a hairdresser, I want people to come to me not because I'm in the same postcode.
Yeah.
I don't want to be convenient. I want people to like come to me for a reason. And I've always carried that through my entire career so far. And my mum, she was like a local hairdresser, and that's fine. Like she taught me some really great things, but it's not what I wanted.
Yeah.
So, so I kind of worked with my mom up until, I don't know, maybe 14 or 15 or something. And my brother had a really bad accident, and she had to like close the salon down. So that was kind of it for the hair side of things. And then, so I eventually walked out of Razzle Dazzle, called Tony and Guy and was like, yo, what's going on? I did a trial like over a week ago. And they were like, yeah, we've been trying to call you. Like, your phone's not working. This is what I was, obviously working in living in a rural area. So I got the job and I started the week after.
Oh my God, amazing.
So yeah, that's kind of where I started my career. It was exactly what I wanted, although I didn't realize at the time that at Tony and Guy you have to choose cut or color.
Yeah.
So that was something that was quite foreign to me. But for 5 years I traveled like an hour and a half, hour and 40 minutes each way. And then I eventually moved to the area. I became, sort of moved up. I chose cutting, obviously. I moved up, progressed to like assistant to, senior stylist, style director, etc. Then I became the assistant manager. And then I wanted to move and do education. So I moved to the Paddington store. Then I moved into the city. And that was really good. I was taking, interning guy, they call it bartering.
Okay.
So I was doing that. So teaching people to get onto the floor. I was also educating for Label M, which is their product range.
Yes.
That was cool. Really loved that. And then I was I went back to London actually for a conference, like used to go once a year. And
Tony and Guy, like the salon provided that opportunity for you?
Well, I remember going into my boss's office and I was like, here's the thing. I need to be back in London because I'm very important and young and enthusiastic. And he was like, well, we've already got the team. And I was like, well, how about I go halves in the flight? And he was like, fine. So they sent me back, which was awesome. I'm glad I did that actually, before I left them. So then I went back and I had some friends in Abu Dhabi. And they were like, why don't you come via Abu Dhabi on the way home and just like have a little holiday? And I was like, oh yeah, sure. Like I would never go there otherwise. So I went there, met some people, came home, hated being back because like Tony and Guy's training is really amazing, but they treat you not great. They sort of keep you like dangling the carrot all the time. Very much in the bubble. But they dangle carrots. They're just like, if you do this, we'll give you half a carrot. And it's like, cool. What about like a pay increase? That'd be cute.
Yeah.
And I was like living on my own. And I couldn't afford where I was living. And I was like, this is just fucked. Like I'm just treading water. And I was like 24. And so I came back to Sydney and I was offered a job in Abu Dhabi.
Oh wow.
And I was like, don't be ridiculous. Like, I'm not doing that. Anyway, I eventually went. And I was there for maybe 10 months.
Oh my God, cool. I didn't know this about you.
Oh yeah. It's something, it's like a deep shame. But
it sounds really fun to me.
It's not. It was exciting. I learned so much about myself, but
were you doing hair over there?
Yeah, they don't.
That would be very different, wouldn't it? Like the type of hair than what you were used to, maybe as like inner Sydney, or not?
Oh yeah, totally. So I mean, they're of the opinion that women are to have long hair, which is fine. They're really quite traditional in that sense. Lots of blow dries, but I went from like a big open space in Paddington to then being in like a 4-station double doored indoor no window situation. And it was just not my vibe. I was not proud of what I was doing there. And that I learned that a lot. Like there wasn't anything, they sort of promised me the world, like, yeah, you can do education, and they had like the rights to Kevin Murphy and whatever, and then it just, nothing ever happened. Like their minimum work week is 60 hours.
What?
That's like
really?
That's a 38-hour week. They do 60. So it's 6 days, 10 hours a day. Yeah. So you are being flogged. Like, and that's the thing is when you're negotiating salary, you're like, yeah, wow, that, even though they give it to you in dirhams, you do like the conversion and you're like, oh yeah, that's pretty good. And then they're like, oh, we'll put you up for a month and we'll give you a car and we'll do this and we pay for your flight there, blah, blah, blah. But then when you get there and you're working 60 hours and you're trying to get used to like the overwhelming heat of the place, and then also the social cues and what you should and shouldn't do. And like, I had super short hair when I went there and people were just so bewildered by me. They were just like, you're either a witch or a lesbian or both. And it's like, no shade on lesbian people, but it's like, they just need to put you in a little box.
Yeah, so it's so different than what we're used to. And it's a massive culture shock and a bit of a slap in the
Oh my
face,
God.
kind of like.
I was really, I'm really, what's the word? Intrigued by Middle Eastern culture.
Yeah.
But over there, they are like in this particular salon that I was in, they purely want money making. They have assistants that they bring in from like the Philippines and Sri Lanka and all of these places. They promise them the world. They don't give them anything. You know, my assistant
Something you're not
was like
proud to be a part of working there. You weren't feeling
no.
good about what you were doing.
Oh no, I didn't. I hated that I was contributing to an industry that ran off slave labor. Essentially, that is what I felt icky about. You know, when you go like rural New South Wales, you're like, oh wow, there's like cattle trucks, right? You see cattle trucks, and you're like, oh okay. Over there, you see that, but with people, like just moving people around, like from work site back, and what it's awful. Like my assistant was a 45-year-old woman, Zalika. She had 3 children back home. They promised her so much, but there's in a 60-hour work week, there's no time for education. They don't put it aside. They don't want it. They just it's not their priority. They just flog you, and I just hated it. And the crux for me was we were having a meeting. We used to do like a monthly meeting, and I was in Abu Dhabi, but the head office was in Dubai. So they would come out like marketing and I don't fucking know who they were. They were just like the head office people, right?
Yeah.
And they'd be like, oh, okay, cool. So, you know, we're featured in this magazine this month and blah, 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 blah. And then head of HR came and they were like, cool. And they would basically put up a photo of Crystal. Oh, this is Crystal. She's Canadian. She's great at color. She'll be coming on into our Eastern Mangrove salon. You know, she's coming next week. Then Laura, she's great at cutting. She's coming from Sydney, blah, blah, blah. Then they put up a photo of like 40 Filipino women. And this is head of HR, which is a hilarious title. And she was like, and this is the next batch of women or batch of workers coming in. And I was like half listening, you know, it's early in the morning. And I was like, whoa, what did you say?
Yeah.
And I looked at my colleague next to me and was like, is she the same batch? And she was like, I think so. Anyway, and then she was like, oh, and this is like the second batch of people coming through this year. And I was like, did one of those awkward laughs, like, sorry. And she was like, yeah, no, sorry, I was just like, what is going on here? So anyway, they were like, is something funny, Laura? And I was like, not really. But I can't believe that you're calling people batch. And she was like, oh no, I mean like shipment. I was like, oh, better, yeah, like live cattle. Yeah, it is. And anyway, they kicked me out of the meeting. They were like, outside, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, whatever. Anyway, everybody came out after the meeting and they were about to yell at me. And then I was like, you guys are actually disgusting. So I don't want to work here anymore. Because basically over there, if you want to break your contract, you have to pay out a certain, so or you wait until payday, jump on a plane and get out. Yeah. I didn't really want to do that, to be honest. I don't know why. I just felt like, what if they come after me? Or I can
you
never
don't know what you're getting into.
Yeah, and also I didn't want to not be able to sleep at night, you know? Yeah. So I said to them, look, I renegotiated my contract and then I ended up leaving a few months later anyway. So yeah, it's gross. They're gross. I feel like that's where hairdressers go to die.
Wow.
So
what a wild story. And I think that from the way that you express yourself now and the beliefs that you have and the opinion I guess that you have, that must come from that as well. Like that would have played a big part in you now being like, I'm not going to be quiet maybe about my opinion, or I want to make sure that I have this platform and my eyes have been opened to the opportunity, the incredible experience that you've now had, that you want to share that a bit more because of that experience.
Yeah, for sure. I think, especially even if you're just in your hometown and you're interviewing, you know, it took me, you know, a trip to the Middle East and then back to realize that you need to ask more questions, push for what you want, but also they're going to tell you everything that they want you to hear. It doesn't necessarily mean it's right or true. So, yeah, like sometimes I like to do interviews or just meet people just to get an idea of their vibe. Like I'm not actually going to take the job, but I kind of get a bit of a thrill from sitting there going, like almost testing my bullshit radar. Yeah. So yeah, it definitely taught me a lot. It made me hate men a lot as well, which is, you know, a whole other ball game. Like it's so overwhelming over there in terms of, especially being a white female on your own. Yeah, they just, yeah, and they really have an opinion, a very specific opinion about white women.
And when you came back from there, did that take you, like, did you want to leave hairdressing then? Were you like just more passionate about getting to where you wanted to be in hairdressing so that you had this platform? Or how did you transition back and where did you start working then?
So I think I probably started while I was still there, going, okay, this is not what I want to do. I'm going to like focus. You know, either the plan was that I was going to go from the Middle East to London, and a few personal things happened, so I couldn't really do that. So I ended up going back to Sydney. But I got into the Sam McKnight program, I suppose.
Yeah.
So I got into that while I was over there, and I thought this is going to keep me motivated while I'm here. However, I ended up pulling out because I didn't know anyone, and you need networks over there. And so I'd met a few like photographers and stuff, and I would try and do shoots on my one day off. But you know, like I would end up lost in the desert somewhere because they just don't have any addresses over there, and it was just so friggin' hard.
Yeah.
So when I came back, I decided to rent a chair and start working for myself. But I also think that I was a little bit deluded to think that all my clients that I'd left 10 months ago were just gonna like flock back to me.
Yeah.
And eventually they did, but it just wasn't quick enough. So I ended up working at Academy. So Ricky was a guy I used to work with in Tony and Guy. So he always said, you know, when I get my own salon, come and work for me, blah, blah, blah. So I went and did that. And that was when I started to sort of get back on track, and I started putting some goals in place. And that's when I started the F.A.M.E Team process. So, yeah, so that was, I knew I always wanted to do it. Ricky got in F.A.M.E Team when it first started in Australia. And then obviously all my colleagues previously from Tony and Guy, so Mandy, Nicole K, all of those types of people got into F.A.M.E Team, and I was like, right, I'm going to do it. And I was so fucking cocky as well. I was like, I've got this, yeah?
No problem.
Yeah, honestly, like you might as well just like hand it over. And then I came, and I still had that very much like, I'm from Tony and Guy. Do you know me? I was very quickly shut down, like, and it was good. It's a good thing. I'm glad I didn't get in the first time. So I went in, did my thing, was so fucking overwhelmed with how talented everyone in that. Like I got into the round 2.
So how did, maybe walk us through for people who don't know, like, because walk us through maybe what F.A.M.E Team is and the process of getting into it a little bit, like.
Yeah. Okay. Your hair's looking fab, by the way.
Really? I was like, oh, I'm looking at my wet doggy. It's just
no, I like it.
Oh, natural. Thank you.
So F.A.M.E Team, basically what you have to do is do like a submission, like a written submission. You need to generally to have like a couple of questions to answer, like why you think you should get in, what you'll do with the initiative, a short bio on your history so far, and then like a breakdown of what you've done. So like fashion weeks, shows, shoots, who you've worked with, all of that kind of stuff. So they need to see that you're active in the industry in one way or another, whether it's education or shoots and whatever. Even if it's just assisting, if they're not your shoots, fine, pop down everything. And you kind of not milk them, but you, like, if you passed out pins for 2 hours to someone, write it down. Like, you were there. That's, to me, that's stripe. They're stripe earning, right?
Totally.
Anyway, so you do that, and then you enter, like, send that through. And this is basically, F.A.M E Team is like a 12-month incubation process, essentially. So 4 people out of Australia get chosen. It doesn't have any matter if it's boy or girl, what state they're from, or whatever. It's just 4 of the best. So then you just send off your thingy. That then gets judged by some industry people, some previous F.A.M E teamers, some like big editorialists, photographers, magazine editors, whoever. They all sit down in a room, or they used to, but now pre-COVID, they would probably do it via Zoom. Yeah. So they go through and they like mark you, not mark you, but I guess give you points or whatever. And then the top point earners become the next 14. And then that 14 then get flown to Sydney to do round 2. And then round 2
you got to that point in the first time that you made it through, and that's when you were like, holy crap.
Yeah. And so you turn up and you're like, I'm ready, right? So they give you a breakdown of what you have to do on the day, but and you're not supposed to prepare. So basically it's like, here's how the day runs. Like, you'll come in, meet everyone, then you get straight into like the first what's it called? It's like
the first look. Like, do you do multiple?
Yeah, first challenge. So the first challenge is always like long hair, and I think I'm trying to remember what some of them were. It was like, you're doing Lady Gaga's hair for the Met Gala. This was the last year's one. She's wearing Gucci, I think. She's flying in from another job. You've only got 40 minutes or something to do her hair. I think that was about it. It needs to suit all night. You know, she doesn't want this or whatever.
Yeah,
so you've got 40 minutes to do long hair. Yeah, it's cool to like watch, but you know how overwhelming it is to do?
I'm happy over here.
Yeah, totally. So basically you would like get stuck into it. The judges give you like 15, 20 minutes to start, and then they start walking around. There's about, I think, 12 of them. And these are generally people you look up to as well.
Yeah, this is intense.
Well, yeah. And so they walk around and they're like, so this is so Laura, what are you going to do today? How are you going to interpret the brief? And you're like, I'm just trying not to vomit. Yeah. I'll be right with you. But if you don't answer, they're just like, she's got no idea. Fuck it. She's got no idea.
How high pressure.
And so then you have to repeat yourself every time. And that, I actually find that the easiest part, like the talking. Like, I'm a talker.
Yeah.
And then you have to finish. But you don't have to, but you should.
Yeah.
Otherwise it looks shit. You know, you've missed the brief completely. So then they do the whole tools down, walk away. So we all walk into the other room, and then they all walk around marking on the clipboard. Yep, cool. And if you can't interpret the brief and then show that you have thought about, you know, you can sit down on your phone quickly and look up, you know, looks that Lady Gaga's done, or like what Gucci's latest clothes are, so you can then try to tie that
have
in.
Some
you know,
sort of a vision board type thing for yourself.
Yeah. But you've only got 40 minutes, and that 40 minutes literally flies. So you want to sort of be pretty onto it. So there was one, I think the next look, you all come back in, they show you the next brief on the video, and it's like, I think we were doing Stella McCartney and what's her name? Is it Frances Bean?
Oh God,
Cobain?
Of course, I wouldn't know.
Oh, Kurt Cobain's daughter.
Okay.
It was her, and that we were doing hair for like rock god's kids. So I think there was also Lenny Kravitz's daughter. Anyway, so we were doing Frances Bean's haircut, mid-length. We couldn't cut too much off, like that sort of thing. And, you know,
and
you
you're
then
doing
have
this
to
on
consider,
a live model? Like, they provide you a model?
No, dolly
or a
head.
mannequin?
No, dolly head.
Okay.
Yeah, mannequin. And then you do a quick haircut. So you have to think of the haircut, tying in Francis Bean, but also Stella McCartney for a photo shoot, blah, 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 blah. You have to consider everything. And then you do that, you walk out. And then the last one's generally a short haircut. I can't remember what this one was. But one year it was, no, I can't remember.
So how many times did you audition for it or submit before you got in, or walk us through?
So I got it on the third time.
Oh
So
my
I'd done this
God.
process twice before.
I think that is so important for people to know, that it can really deter you, I think, and be like, ah, shit, done. That's that, you know? And not nobody, but most people don't win the award on the first time they've entered, or win, that you have to put in the work, and you learn from the first experience of how to prepare better or anything like that. That I think it's really important to know that you did persevere through it and you got in on the third time.
I do see a few people that have maybe in one of my auditions didn't get in and then haven't tried again. And I think, don't give up, because like I was pretty depressed after the first time. I was just like,
deflated.
But then I started, really. And then I started thinking to myself, like, did you really try? Yeah. Like, did you actually try? So then I called Brett McKinnon, who was one of the creative director at the time, and got some feedback from him. And I was like, you know what, I'm going to try again. And that's when I tried again. And then I think after that go, I was so sure. I was like, I'm ready now. I'm ready. And then I still didn't get in. And that actually, I think the second time really fucked me. Yeah. And then I called every single judge after that. I slid into their DMs. I found their email somehow, like in correspondence. I harassed everyone. And I was like, give me some feedback. And some of it wasn't very good. Some of it was really hard to hear. One of them made comments on my personal appearance. And that's why I didn't get a look in, because I wasn't wearing enough makeup. And I was just like, I don't know what that has to do with anything. But you called them, so you've just got to listen to it, and they're the ones in charge.
You need to hear the feedback to know, and whether or not you agree with it is up to your own discretion, and you decide what is of value to you. But at least you know other things, because a lot of people wouldn't do that, wouldn't reach out, and I would. I'm like the queen of the DMs, I'm a DM everyone.
Hey, hello.
I was like, hello, Laura, do you want to come on my podcast?
Yeah, and I was like, I've been waiting for you.
I love that. But it's true. People would think that that's maybe being pushy or something. And it's like, no, that's how you learn. That's how you get your name out there. That's how people know you want it.
Yes, exactly. And one of the feedback, the one that said that I didn't wear enough makeup and I looked disinterested, said, what did she say? You just, the hair didn't wow me. There was nothing wow about it. And I was like, fair, okay. Yeah. But then I spoke to someone literally like 30 minutes later, and I said to them, I prompted them to see how I looked personally, and they were like, oh, I didn't really pay attention.
Difference of opinion.
So that's the thing. It's like, I sort of gathered all my information. I had a little notebook, everybody's intel, and there are some people that are so lovely, some people that I knew that was going to give me some harsh realities. And then I was like, right. And so basically I gave myself a week to wallow in self-pity. And then I started the process again, and I was prepping for
Okay, so yet another technical difficulty for my podcast, but it just keeps it authentic. So we were talking about getting the feedback from the judges and you reaching out and messaging them. So do you think that really helped you the third time around to actually get through?
Definitely. And I think when you're getting this sort of feedback, you have a choice, like what you're saying. You've got a choice. You can either play that game and wear more makeup or don't. And I was very much like, fuck everyone. I'll do what I want. And then I was
I'm
like,
coming with
I'm
no
not
makeup
getting...
on next time.
Yeah.
In my
And then
pajamas.
I was actually, I know, little did they know, but I was like, I'm not getting in. I'm not getting in. So
Yeah.
I need to just play the fucking game, or like just not even like consciously play the game. It's just like, just wear some more makeup. It's not going to kill you. It's not like they're asking you to change your entire image. So I got called to go to New York Fashion Week for Renya, for Wella.
Incredible.
They obviously couldn't get a team together, so I got like a call, and I was like, yeah, cool, this is gonna be sick. So I booked it, and I was due to come back on the Friday, back to work on the Saturday, and then Sunday prep, and then Monday was F.A.M.E Team round 2. So I went to New York, but prior to going, I was like, I'm not going to go all that way to just do one show with Renya. So I'm going to reach out. So I ended up getting onto Eugene Solomon's shows, James Pesci's for All Bay, all of these things. It was so random because
So do you
was
just
going
say,
through
I'm coming to New York, I'm busy this day, this time. Do you have any other days that you need help?
Yeah.
How cool.
Pretty much. So what I did was I went on to, I first wrote a list of all of like my favorite editorial stylists. So like Guido, Eugene, James Pesci's. Then I spoke to people, and people know, even clients. Clients are like, oh, my friend Mitch, whatever, is in New York now, and he works a lot with whatever.
Yeah,
So
it's connections. It's always who you know.
Yeah, you just reach out. So I message heaps of people. A lot of them, also, what's his name? Fuck, I was annoying him so much. Gary Gill. And he didn't know he was going to be in New York until 24 hours prior. So he was like, yeah, I'll get you on, but I'm not sure. So then I got onto all of these shows. Literally at the airport, I got an email saying, you've been cancelled off all of them. And I was like, oh, fuck. Then I landed in New York, and they were like, actually, you're back on. So it was quite a...
What a whirlwind.
It was, for sure. But they were like, oh, it's Wella sponsored, so we have to use Wella people. And I'm like, well, I'm Wella Australia. And they were like, oh, okay. So I basically just argued my way back onto. And then I started thinking, like, I already know the time and location. I'm just going to rock up. Like, what are they going to do? Send me away? And it's so hectic. But anyway, I'm rambling. So I did that, had the best time. First time in New York, was working the whole time. It was quite lonely being like there on my own and just working. And it was the middle of winter, and it's just...
I know what that's like.
Well, I'd never been in anything below Melbourne cold. So I thought it was amazing.
You'd be in for a rude awakening in New York in the middle of winter.
I have never been so dry in all of my life. I was the driest human. So anyway, came back, was absolutely on a high. And I think that also probably helped because
it boosted your confidence. You'd gone from kind of this rejection to this pedestal a bit, like, you know, I've been to New York Fashion Week.
Loser. Yeah, totally. Anyway, so I went in Monday, and sure, I don't know if my look was the best. It definitely wasn't the best. And even when I look back on it, because basically when you do your 3 long hair, medium hair, short hair, then you present a live model. And I think, like, I'm obviously in Sydney, so I just think it must be so hard for like people in Melbourne and Queensland and Perth to organize their model and look and everything. So I definitely have an advantage there, even though, you know, I mean, they pulled the looks together for sure. So I went in there, did that. I also had a client who helped me. She does training for people public speaking. Oh. So I did that. I also did, there's a free, what's it called? Sharon Blaine told me, something masters. It's like a free public speaking group. And they have them in every sort of states and stuff. So I did that as well. But I worked mostly with this client. So she would talk to like Jen Hawkins about how to talk in front when she got onto David Jones or Maya, whatever she did. So she helped me. So basically on the Sunday, I'm jet lagged out of my fucking mind. And she had a video camera. And basically I had everything written out, and I would go through and just basically try and memorize it, but also have like the appropriate pauses and, you know, how to say things with conviction and, you know, all of those types of things, because I was getting up there on stage and just failing. And I was so overcome with nerves. I was just like, blah, blah, blah. And here's my look over, like, thank you so much. And it was just shit. It was just turning to shit for me. So I knew I needed a lot of work in that. So that's one thing I would definitely suggest is like
look at where your weakness is. If it's speaking, if it's the hair up aspect, and you're amazing at cutting and you're amazing at talking, to really refine your skills through that year of prep, because it is like every year. So you have a full time to rehearse or to practice what you're
whole year.
Yeah. Interesting.
Exactly. So I did that, and that once I felt like an idiot, you know, when you're like talking and then you stop for pause and then you've got 12 industry leaders looking at you while you're pausing. That 2 seconds feels like a year. And it's like, I feel so fucking stupid right now, but it worked. And once I finished, I was like, I fucking got this. I've got this. I have nailed every single aspect of today. But even if I didn't get it, I got it to myself.
Because you knew that at that point that you were happy with what you'd done.
Yeah. But I knew that I'd done better than the first and the second year, and that was enough for me. So I was like, I'm fine now. So yeah, and then I obviously got called, and oh my God, I'm going to send you the video. Okay. My colleague was filming me when my name was called.
Yes, I'll put it on the Instagram, and we'll use that for part of your post.
Hysterical. Oh my God. So basically, I think it was Charlene got called first. She was the first one. And then Chris. And then I had just gone completely numb by this point. And my partner was there, and he'd been there the 2 years previously, or maybe 1 year. And, you know, he's holding me, my whole team's holding me. And then they said my name, but I was numb already. So I didn't hear it. And I looked at my partner, and he like just screamed and jumped up, and literally, I couldn't stop crying. Like, I'm an emotional person, but I was hysterically squealing into people's faces. It honestly, I was just like, I did it. That was like, it was embarrassing. I'm going to send you the video.
I'd be the same. I've said like, my one dream in life is I wish I was a singer. I wish I could sing and like, you know, win a Grammy and go up on stage and get it. But the next best thing has got to be this.
It's FA.ME Team, yeah. Honestly,
you know, where you get to go up and get the trophy and give a speech and, you know, like, come on.
I'm actually so glad that FA.ME Teamers don't get to do speeches, because it would have been fucked. Yeah. Like, I could not, I had no makeup left. I was a bit drunk, and I was just squealing. Oh my God. But it was like 3 years of compounded hard work, and I did it. And it was like this release, and I just screamed and cried, and that was just my natural release. And I was like, fuck it, you know. And then
what happens next? Like, how do you go from that night? Like, do you have to tell your employer, like, hey, I've won this, I'm going to be traveling all year? Or like, how does that kind of come into it?
Good question. You actually need a letter from your employer, or they need to email
say that
division.
If Laura gets in, we give permission for her to have every opportunity.
Yeah. So they give you, like, you know, you'll need this block of dates, like rough dates off, so for expo, and then 4 weeks for travel, and then a few other bits and bobs. So I think it's like 5 or 6 weeks in the year that you need. So they do tell you before, make sure you save some money, because even though they cover most of everything, you still need your own money.
Yeah, you still have to pay your rent and your phone bill. And that was something, because Charlene's obviously a good friend of mine, and that was something when that was happening, I was like, but how can people afford to have, like, it's an incredible opportunity, but how can you afford to have that much time off? Like, do you use all your annual leave, and that's what that is? But for people
Yeah,
who
you can.
to chair, there's just so many things that I thought about being like, oh my God, that'd be quite hard.
You're such a mum. You're like, how do I save? How are you guys handling your finances?
Money hoarder and like life
Yeah.
planner like that. It's so bad. But to be fair, in this instance, it's been a good situation for me because
I
God.
bet. But also, yeah,
Anyway,
you do get like a heads up. Like it's gonna be a costly year for you. But you know what? Irrespective of the money, it was the lack of sleep. Like
yeah.
if I look back on photos from last year, I'm like bloated, I'm drunk all the time, but it's the best. I wouldn't have changed it for the world. So yeah,
What
you
did
do
you
need
get
to
to
come
do?
up.
Like what was your F.A.M E Team highlight?
I think traveling overseas,
Yeah.
like that to me, do you know when some people sort of measure their success? Mine is if someone pays for a flight for me. So that was awesome. Obviously, meeting all the sponsors, getting gifted, everything is incredible. You feel like literally people treat you like a superstar.
Yeah.
And I was just like, I think we all were. We were just so overwhelmed all of the time, but in the best possible way.
Yeah.
But one of the highlights was like, so that was in April. Then I think it was May, which was our week. We had a week off where we are mentored. So 2 mentors a day, like Sharon Blaine, Kobe Boshish, Laura McCowan, Natalie Ann, I said Shazza,
And so
a
that
few other
happens in
people.
Sydney. Like you get all these people
Yep.
coming to mentor. Isn't that is such an
Yeah,
incredible
cool.
opportunity.
It's awesome, yeah. And so I think so we all met up in Paddington and just like kind of met each other for the first time. Like, you know, Shara and I had obviously met maybe via Instagram or met, I think, the year before when her and I both didn't get in and we were just like really upset
Yeah.
and drunk and crying and stuff. But you know, Chris and I'd followed Chris for a long time on Instagram and I just thought he was so fucking cool. And William, I didn't, like, you don't really know them, but you know of them. So
Yeah.
we actually sat down and had lunch at the Three Blue Ducks in Rosebery. And that was probably one of my highlights because we were just buzzing
You
and
would
we were
all
getting
be
to
in
know
your best
everyone.
moment.
Yeah, we were. And that was like, you know, everything else was the best ever. But that was probably one of my like fondest moments because it was the calm before the storm. Everything was sinking in and we were just like this, you know, when you're on a roller coaster, you're about to go
Oh
down.
God.
That's what it was
I
like.
hate
We
that.
were just like,
Yeah.
you know, we had the next year was going to be like a roller coaster. And that was a nice moment to just like gather our thoughts, drink some wine, share them. It was beautiful. It was really beautiful.
So
So then
cool.
we spent the next week together and naturally you get super close. Like every day we'd have lunch together, coffee together, dinner together. We'd all go back to the house like the Sydney people and just drink after mentor. And it was so draining. Like
Yeah.
we were dead. You don't sleep. You're always drinking. I don't think I touched water for like 10 months.
And it's the emotional draining too, where it's like, because you're so excited and you have to be switched on
Adrenaline.
as well, because you're like
Mm,
presenting yourself to all these people all the time. You have somebody
yeah.
that you're constantly maybe trying to impress a bit, or you want to be switched on when you're meeting your heroes who are teaching you. Like it would, and you never want to say no to something, and you don't want to go home first, and you don't, it is
Yeah.
really
The go home
tiring. I
first
know.
thing, yeah, it was for sure. And like so after that week, you know, it was like goodbye. And then we basically were prepping for Expo, which was coming up in June long
Yeah.
weekend. So then we prepped for that. And that was our first time on stage. We were so not underprepared because we prepared,
Yeah.
but I'd also resigned in that time as well.
Oh, okay.
So I was going to resign anyway, but I sort of waited until the announcement. Yeah, I'd been there for 3 years. It's time to move on. So I resigned, and I was kind of dealing a lot with that emotion everybody had their own salon shit to deal with, but also their personal lives. And then we're trying to prep in other states. So
Yeah.
Chris and I are obviously here in Sydney together, Shaz in Melbourne, William's in Queensland. And then we've also got Jack, our creative director, in Melbourne as well. So we were prepping. And I think we actually planned an unofficial meetup where we all went to Melbourne, and we stayed there for the weekend. We did some like practice talking in front of people. Oh, actually, I think it might have been after Expo. I can't remember actually, but we did a trip up to Sydney and then down to Melbourne, like 2 unofficial trips, just to get more practice and some more time, because we I don't know how people did it when they had Perth people in their F.A.M.E team, because the time difference is just so hard. And just like
so they don't offer that anymore.
Site. What do you mean? Don't offer what?
To people from Perth, or it's just that you just didn't have somebody. You're just saying, I get it. You didn't have somebody in your team from there. And imagine if you did. I thought they were like, nope, you can't come if you're from Perth. The time difference too hard.
You know what, Perth? You kind of like shut off your borders, so you're out. No, they just didn't have anyone from Perth. So it was. So we didn't have anyone from Perth.
Yeah.
So anyway, so we did that. We did Expo. Expo was. You were at Expo, right?
Oh yeah, I was at Expo.
And so you saw the.
I was definitely there for that moment.
So we were not ready. We weren't, but we couldn't have been any more ready.
The point of that presentation, as much as it was to present, it was also for you to practice on home soil before you're then doing the same presentation, because it was the same presentation overseas, correct? So
it was similar, but we were so like we got off stage and Shar and I were hysterically crying. We were just like, I think Chris sort of cried as well. Yeah, everyone was there. We were so overwhelmed, and I think it was Duncan from Joyco was hugging me and was like, "Why are you crying?" And I was like, "I don't know." But I was trying to just be happy. I was like, they're happy tears, but they weren't. They were fearful tears. And then we sort of got some feedback, and it was like, it was great, but it wasn't great. We obviously, these are what we need to work on.
But that is the point of this journey is to better yourself and is to learn and is better. Yeah. Sure. And you got to go overseas and go international, right? And do it at the big hair shows. Was that a big well, I guess you said you'd been to London before, but was it for a hair show? Like, had you been to that caliber?
It was it was huge, just Tony and Guy. Yeah, it was just Tony and Guy sitting in conference rooms in hotels or in their academy. And it's like secular, right? So we went to LA. We stayed in like a mansion that David Manor had organized. I'm talking like Kimmy K's first house situation. There was an elevator. We had like our own. Oh no, we didn't have our own rooms, but like we had a couple of. I think because there was so many people there, but like we went out the back. There was like a pool and a spa and just the hills, and we were just like, "Fuck, this is insane." So that was sick. We were there in LA for about 5 days, and we went to Main Addicts, head office. We met some cool people that were like either Aussies living over there or just editorial stylists. We met a guy, his name's Ruslan, and he does a lot of like celebrity hair. We met him. We went for dinners. We drank. We went to Medman, which I don't know if you know is the weed shop. It's like an Apple store for weed. I don't smoke weed, but it was so wild over there.
So different,
so that was really cool. Yeah, so wild. So we did all of that, and then we went to New York, and we did a shoot on the rooftop, on a rooftop with Laura McCowan for the new Evo Curl range. That was probably one of the highlights, actually. Yeah. That was insane. The day was perfect. It was like a really sunny day. We had all these different like afro type hair that we're playing with. The models were all like incredible, just super lovely, taking us through all the their hair types and how they deal with it. And it was like educational, but also super warm and a really beautiful day. So we did that. David Manor shot that. And obviously hanging out with Laura McCowan is sick. She's such a ledge. We had wines. And then what else
And you went
did
to
we
Europe
do?
now from there?
Yeah, then I'm trying to think what else we did in New York. We did a shoot with David Manor's brother as well.
Yeah.
And then we went to London. That's when we did main is it main stage? No. Salon International, which is like Hair Expo but on steroids.
Yep.
And we were in this house prepping for like 2 days, and we were just up all night. Like, we didn't stop for food. We were just like prepping, setting things, hanging stuff up on clotheslines. Like, we were delirious, but it was awesome because we were together. So
yeah, at least when you're in a team in that, because like if I think about, even if I go on a holiday, I'm jet lagged, I'm having a nap in the afternoon, like, you know, all these things. You've just gone from Australia to New York to LA to London, all different time zones, and you're expected to prep and present. So at least you do have people, a group that's in the same. It'd be high emotions too. Like, everything would be all over the place.
And I'm not good on no sleep. I'm like a grumpy bitch. And, you know, we were eating just shit and we were drinking whatever. And it was just not, you know, whatever. It was awesome. It was the time of our life. We felt like rock stars.
Yeah.
So then we prepped for that, and the show went incredibly. Like, incredible. We had this, like, such energy on stage together. Our hair was like, I wasn't super happy with my hair look, like what I imagined didn't really happen, but it was fine because I was like kind of honest about that. And I was like, I don't really know what I was going for here, but this is, anyway. But it was just a great energy. And like, you know, Shara and I were talking, or Shara and Chris, or Will and I, and like, it was just really cohesive, and it was amazing. So we came off stage and we were buzzed, like no tears. We were so happy. And then we did another show as well. We did the same one, but a different time.
Yeah.
That was awesome. And then we were able to just enjoy Salon International in London. We went to, I forget what the actual show was called, but it was, David Manor hooked us up with some tickets. It was, I can't remember, but it was a tribute.
I know what you're talking about, but.
Tribute. It was called Tribute Show for, oh God.
And it wasn't in English, right?
No, this is still in London. It was a tribute show for, what is his name? Oh my God, I can't believe I've forgotten his name. Anyway, and that was amazing. So it was just like incredible hairdressers all doing, like, they would come on stage and they weren't really talking, they were just doing hair. And same with Noise. There was like another show called Noise where it was just pumping loud music. They'd come on stage, do some rad shit, didn't say a word, and everyone would just be like, wow.
Watching
it was
so
awesome.
different.
And you know, oh my God, it's so much fucking cooler over there. Like, but then we left London and we went to Hanover, and we stayed in a water tower. It was really cool. And then we had another show to do. So we kind of did something similar to Salon International, but we changed a few things. And that was the show that wasn't in English. Excuse me. It was in German or Arabic. Yeah. And we were just like,
what?
Yeah, hilarious. Like, we were supposed to have a translator, but there were like thousands of people. There was no way they were going to be able to translate. So that was hilarious. So it was one day, it was like 8 hours, and it was just act after act after act. And everyone just sat in this auditorium just losing it. It was wild. And it was all of these like Lebanese hairdressers that either lived in Hanover or they come over for it, because there's a really big Lebanese population there.
Interesting.
And also, do you know Munir?
Yes, not personally, but I know the name. I know who you're talking about. Yep.
So he was there, and we met him, and we went for dinner with him or lunch and stuff. He can't speak English very well. We can't speak Lebanese either, or Arabic. But we met him, and he was there, and that brought so many people. Like, it was just insane. And it was just hours, and they just sat there watching. It was crazy.
How
And then once
amazing.
we finished with that, it was, we basically just slept
Yeah.
after that. And it was
And was it
nice,
a
nice
little
to just
bit
enjoy
like
it.
this kind of sad thing? Because that was your last thing as Fame Team, kind of. I know you still had your photo shoot left in Sydney, but
Mm.
that's not that's it, but that's it a bit that it's this moment
Yeah, it
kind
was.
of.
It was a nice ending though, because it was
Yeah.
sort of getting a bit cold in Germany, and we had kind of just packed up. But basically, I'm pretty sure we finished up at like 10 or 11 o'clock at night, drove home. Then we were on like a 6 a.m. flight the next morning back to London, had 12 hours, London to Asia somewhere, then Asia to Melbourne, Melbourne to Sydney. So we had like 5 or 6 flights that we had to, that was,
That's
yeah,
the part
basically
that
the next
people
day.
don't realize too, is like as much as it's whether it's Fame Team or just doing a show or something, anything,
Yeah.
there's a lot of time that you spend
Yeah.
not glam.
Yeah, yeah. Majority, I would say.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was, but you know what? I wouldn't change it at all. Like,
How
I
incredible.
would do
I
it
think that's
again.
so interesting. And I think people would love to hear all this, the background and everything that
Yeah.
happens. And how do you think that Fame Team has now changed your career or where you're at now in your career?
I think, I mean, one of the main reasons for F.A.M E Team is to kind of put people like me and Shara and William and Chris on a platform, right? Because we're so flooded, the market's flooded, and it's good just to sort of like lift them up, shine a light on them. So that's definitely helped. My confidence, like I said before, just changed overnight. I was just like, it was just that validation that I was enough.
Yeah.
That I think has just changed me dramatically, which meant that, if I was um, approached by someone, whether it's a product company or, to do a shoot or whatever, that I had the confidence to say, no, this is what I charge.
Yeah.
Or, oh, I'm sorry, I actually can't do that for free anymore. I'm not in a position to work for
Yeah.
free. Not to say that you don't, because I still shoot.
Yeah.
I still do tests. I still do like work that's probably nowhere near what I should be charging, but just that confidence to be able to say, this is actually what I'm worth. And I think that that is important, especially in our industry. Hair, makeup, beauty in general is, wildly underpaid, sometimes overpaid.
Yep.
But yeah, I was just confident to, I went into a new job at Edwards and Co. And I was able to say, they were like, this is what we're going to offer you. And I was like, well, this is what I want. And they were
Yeah.
like, okay. And I remember getting that email being like, are you guys fucking crazy? Like, I've never, firstly, been asked what I want to be paid and then had
Yeah.
it agreed.
Hmm.
So that was really good. I just felt a lot more confident. Also, I had a lot more people reach out to not not ask me to be their mentor, but to ask about the process or,
Yeah.
here is what I'm thinking. Because, over that 15 years of my industry, my career so far, I haven't been happy those entire 15 years. There are times when you're younger, you're like,
You
why am
hate
I
it.
working for $260 a week?
Yep.
I'm tired, my back hurts, I'm broke. Like, why am I doing this? I should just get an office job. And so I think it's really important to talk to people that do slip into your DMs and just say, like, it gets better.
Yes.
It gets so good that it's worth the shit now. So yeah, I think I don't know, I think it's kind of given me so much confidence. I
Yeah.
think that's probably the main thing. And
And
someone
that's
asked me that the
exactly
other
what I
day.
wanted to get out of this podcast was exactly what you just said, that there are times when all of us, like most, I would say most of us have thought, all right, enough is enough.
Yeah,
I'm going to get an office job because I need the paycheck. I need the 9 to 5. I need the stability. And I wanted to
Yeah.
talk to people who are now in a position that they are financially comfortable or really happy in what they're doing, picking their own hours, doing the work. You
Mm.
said you are finally doing the hair that you have wanted to be doing. You're not doing the clients that you don't enjoy. And so
Yeah.
now you're working for yourself. Is that correct? And you're able to do that
Yeah.
now and pick who you want to do and run the way
Yeah.
that you want to run.
Yeah. So I work for myself in like a rent-a-chair situation. I work 3 days a week, although this week I'm doing 4. It just depends on client,
Demand.
yeah, client demand. So I work, yeah, generally Wednesday, Friday, Saturday. Wednesday I do a really long day, Friday, Saturday. But I have such cool clients that have all just come out of like the nooks and crannies of Sydney. And I think I do believe, I mean, I'm sure every hairdresser does as well, that you curate your own clientele,
Yep.
right? If I'm putting up lots of balayage, I'm gonna get balayage. That's not my vibe. I do color, but I
Yeah.
cut. That's my thing, right? Um, but I I remember a couple of years back. It was probably like around the second time of F.A.M.E Team, and I was like, I need some more fun cuts. So I'm like, I need to put it out there. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna find some on Instagram. So I have one girl. I went on this like a nightclub that was really, really cool, somewhere that I probably would never go because I'm not that cool. But I just went through all their followers and just started looking at them going, cool, you live in Sydney, I'm going to reach out to you. You've got red hair, I'm going to reach out to you. And I just did that. And then I offered them free haircuts if I
Love
could take
it.
photos.
Yeah.
And that's essentially how I then curated a couple of years later my my clientele, because they still come to me now, even though I offered them free haircuts before, they now still come to me.
Yeah.
So
Because you gave them the
yeah,
service and they realized how good it was, or, they realized, oh, this is amazing. I've never had a haircut like this. And they're willing to pay. Doing a free service
sure.
doesn't mean you're forever doing free service.
Yeah, exactly. But also they not just that, is they want to tell people
Yeah.
and they want to post about it. And like this one particular girl has quite an influential following, not a huge following. I mean, she does now, but she would post like, "Oh my God, Laura Spinney Creative did my hair," and then I was flooded, and I'm still flooded,
So
which
good.
is awesome. Yeah, so I love that, and then I also am able to shoot on the side as well. I haven't got an agent. I did want one, but I'm actually finding it quite difficult to do now. It's quite soul destroying when you're reaching out to agencies and they're like, no, you're not really what we're after, or we're not taking people on at the moment. And it's like, okay, but you just keep going. You just
Yeah.
keep going. And I still have my own clients. Like I work a lot with Sony and with like different music groups or like entertainment groups and stuff like that. Yeah, so
So
it's
cool. I
good.
think it's been really exciting. I mean, I didn't know you before you were on F.A.M.E Team or this, but I feel like I can feel your confidence in exactly what you said you've gained
Yeah,
from this. Like, I think that it does show, and your page is sick, and I think it's really exciting to watch somebody go through an experience like that and actually come out flourishing and being able to work for
yeah,
yourself and feel like that's the best financial decision for you than working for somebody else, and that you are
yeah.
able to do that and show people all the potential that you can have. And I think what you're doing is really, really great.
Thank you. Yeah, I think working for yourself is like, obviously in the States and Canada, people do it a lot.
Yeah.
And it's shifting here. And, I like, I think it was probably my last 4 bosses have all been males.
Yeah.
There's always been like sometimes bosses kind of gaslight you, or they, kind of keep you a little bit insecure so you stay. And
Yeah.
I know that it's probably so hard to run a business, and personally don't want to do it. I don't want to have staff or a salon, but I also think that, I don't know, as stylists, we can demand more. Like, there's no way I would want to work for someone ever again. Like, it's just, I make more in 3 days than I did in a whole week of being absolutely fucked Like, fuck.
And you had just said that you got this wage that you thought was incredible, and now you're like,
Yeah.
what was that? That's not even, like
I mean, yeah, totally. It's
it,
like, yeah, it is. It's just like leaps and bounds. You just
yeah.
have to believe that you can do it. And it's also so nice to just like manage my own day. Um,
And as
yeah,
hairdressers, we often don't have that. And it is the downside of the industry of the hours, the evenings, the weekends, the holidays, all of those things. So to hear
yeah,
from somebody that, you've had this incredible experience and once in a lifetime kind of thing, and to have it turned your life around and you feel like you have this balance and you're so happy with
yeah,
what you're doing now, I think is just really inspiring for people and will motivate them to follow their dreams as well, which is exactly what I'm trying to do.
yeah. Perfect. Yeah, balance is the most important thing. Like, I'm a bit of a workhorse. I was doing 6, sometimes 7 days a week, and I was just fatiguing myself. I would get super sick, have to take some days off.
Yeah.
It's not worth it. Like, the hardest part for me now is to actually slow down and to start taking care of my health a bit better, because I know I don't look any older than 12, but I'm like, I'm tired, man.
Yeah,
Like, I want to work smarter, not harder. You
totally.
know, there are times where you have to work really hard. And to be honest, working for yourself is hard. Like, it's a different sort of hard. Like, I have so much admin. I have an accountant now, like,
Yeah,
hilarious, learning zero. But also just managing appointments. You're constantly being contacted by
yeah.
people. I need to change this. I need to do this. I can't make this.
And it's hard too
But
because
also,
people message you on so many different platforms now too. I've been
oh
finding that
my
hard even
God.
just in my own stuff. People like, when are you opening? I want a hair appointment. I want to book a podcast. Okay, text me your bio. And then I have it in an email. And then I have to send you that. I'm like, oh my God.
I've seen one client recently try and message me on Facebook. And I'm like, but you have my number. We've previously booked. So I'm actually ignoring it. I'm making a stand, and I'm like,
Yeah,
if you really want this, you'll text me or
phone
call
me.
me. So yeah, so I'm like reception, apprentice, marketing, blah blah blah
All
blah,
of the
blah. Like,
above.
I'm everything. Yeah. But it's also so exciting because, like, I've employed someone to do some branding for me, and trying to figure out what my brand is
Yeah,
so hard, but
I
it's
know.
also so exciting. And I just like got some new headshots done the other day, which I will send you eventually. Um, but it's like, cool. Like, what do I want? What do I want to wear? I'm not
Yeah,
going to stand there like
I
this
can do
again. It's
whatever
not
I
gonna.
want. It's mine.
Yeah, and it's so awesome. Like, I'm fucking so happy. I wake up every day and I'm like, I'm so happy.
Oh,
So
I love
it's
it.
awesome. And I haven't felt this good in forever. So yeah, but it's taken 15 years
Yeah,
to get here. And I can finally feel like I deserve it.
yeah, you do.
And everybody else deserves it for sure. Like, you deserve to
Incredible.
wake up feeling happy.
I
Yeah, it's
think
good.
that that
Talk
is the
soon.
perfect ending to the episode. And I really just appreciate you taking the time. I think that you put a different perspective on things and had this experience that I really wanted people to be aware of, that this is an opportunity for you. This is an option if you want it. And look how you can thrive
Yeah,
and flourish and find yourself. So
for
thank you
sure.
so much for taking the time out
My
of your day
pleasure.
for me. And I'm sorry we had a midway crash as per usual.
No, it's fine. It's
But
kind of
I've
like,
loved talking to you, and I really, appreciate the sharing the knowledge, because I think sometimes we can keep those things to ourselves. So it's been really
oh
informative.
yeah, agreed. Oh, my pleasure. Thank you so much for asking me. And I love what you're doing. I think it's awesome.
Thanks
Really
so
good.
much. Thank you,
My
Laura.
pleasure.